Now, last time I was here, I told a story about my eldest daughter, Emily. Since then, she's had her 18th birthday, and I'm very proud to say she's here with me tonight. Thank you. It's her first visit to the Moth, and it's our first night out together as adults. But on the train, on the way in tonight, she said, "Dad, I know tonight's theme is pride, and I know you're very proud of me, but do not tell any stories about me tonight." And I said, "But Emily, I was going to tell the story about the time in the car when you took all your clothes off and did a poo in the back seat." She said, "I thought we were never going to mention my 16th birthday again." Anyway, so I won't. I'm going to tell a story about her younger sister instead, Eloise, or as she's otherwise known, the favourite. So about this time last year, Eloise asked me if I would take her to a Comic-Con event up in Liverpool where you meet famous actors and actresses. She said her very favourite Hollywood actress, Summer Fontana, was going to be appearing up there, and her dream was to go and ask a question at the Q&A panel. So I said, OK, fine, we'll make a weekend of it, we'll go up there. I remember when we were in the car on the way up, she said, "Dad, is it OK if we have a photo with Summer Fontana tomorrow?" And I thought, well, a nice young Hollywood actress, sure, that sounds like a nice photo. I said, "Eloise," I said, "imagine if as soon as Summer Fontana sees me, she falls madly in love and next thing we're married and she's your stepmom. You'd love that, wouldn't you?" She looked at me, she said, "Dad, Summer Fontana is 13 years old." Anyway, I didn't know. Anyway, we got there on the Saturday morning, we had the photo. There was an awkward moment where I realised I'd paid £125 to have my picture taken with two 13-year-old girls. But anyway, it was fine. And in the afternoon, we had the Q&A session. Now, we got there about an hour early because Eloise wanted to get a seat right next to the microphone where you would ask the audience questions from, front row. During the hour, she rehearsed her question over and over again, and eventually the time came. The host called for people to ask questions, and every teenage girl in the room made a run for this microphone. But we were okay because we were sitting right next to it. So Eloise calmly stood up, but then she realised she'd left her slip of paper with the question written on it on the floor. And she really needed this slip of paper because she'd only been rehearsing the question for 3 months. But instead of just leaning down and picking the paper up, she inexplicably tried to drop back into her seat first. But it was one of those flip-up seats, and the seat had gone, and she hit the floor hard. Now, it was a room about this size. It felt like everybody started to laugh. And even Summer Fontana on the stage asked if she was okay. Now, Eloise had her head down. I couldn't see her face, but I knew she was crying. And by this point, there was a queue of 20 other girls waiting to ask a question, and there was no way Eloise would be able to do it that day. Afterwards, as we left the venue, a lady came over who'd seen what had happened, and she said, "You know, Summer Fontana is doing another Q&A tomorrow. You should come back and try again." And Eloise smiled and she said thank you, but later in the hotel room, she told me she just wanted to go home. The next morning, I woke up to find her sitting on the end of her bed, showered, dressed, and ready to go. She said, "I want to go back and ask my question." So we did. We went back. We arrived early again. We got a seat right next to the microphone. And this time, she was first in the queue. And as she was waiting, I leant across and whispered, "Have you got your question?" She said, "I've got a new question. It's in my head." And eventually the time came and she said, "Hi, Summer, I'm Eloise." And Summer smiled and said, "Eloise, I remember you. We had our photo taken yesterday with your granddad." And then she said, "Summer, have you ever done anything embarrassing in front of other people, and how did you handle it?" And Summer thought for a second, and then she said, "You know, I do embarrassing things and things I'm not proud of all the time. We all do, don't we? But I think the trick is not to dwell on them for too long, and instead to focus on the things we do every day that we are proud of. Because there's always so many more of those, aren't there? She said, just like maybe when people laugh at us, but we refuse to give up. And I tell you, if she'd have been 40 years older, I'd have grabbed the microphone and proposed on the spot. I'm glad I got that right. I practiced it earlier. I said if I'd have been 40 years older, I'd have grabbed... Anyway. This wouldn't have been the same. This Sunday is Father's Day, and I'm so lucky I get to spend it with my 2 teenage daughters who, yes, make mistakes. Yes, they might fall on the floor. They might poo in cars. But they don't give up. They never give up. And I'm incredibly, incredibly proud of that. Thank you.